1,052.57 feet. That is where Lake Mead sat on May 17, 2026. 2.5 feet above the line. That sets off federal Tier 2 shortage cuts. About 17 feet of room before Hoover Dam stops making power well. And federal forecasters now expect this lake to fall another 20 feet below its 2022 record low by July of 2027. But the part nobody outside Las Vegas is talking about is this. The $1.4 billion pipe built to save the city is now being looked at to see if it needs to go deeper. The pipe has a name. It is called Intake Number 3. The press calls it the third straw. It is the deepest city water pipe ever built in the United States. It sits at the bottom of a tunnel 3 miles long and 24 feet wide, drilled through solid volcanic rock under Lake Mead between 2008 and 2015. Its opening sits at 860 feet above sea level. That number was picked on purpose. It was meant to be the answer to every worst case the Colorado River could throw at it, even Deadpool itself. And in March of 2023, the city quietly set aside $1.4 million to find out whether 860 feet is deep enough anymore. The third straw is not failing, not yet, but the city that built it is no longer sure the lake will stay above it. So in a back room in Las Vegas, in a study almost no national outlet has covered, engineers are asking whether the deepest pipe in America needs to be drilled deeper still. And what comes after the third straw, if the answer is no? To understand how Las Vegas got here, you have to start with a city that should not exist. Las Vegas sits in the Mojave Desert. The city area gets a little over 4 inches of rain per year. There is no big river running through it. There is no underground water source beneath it that could hold up a city this size. And yet today, 2.3 million people live in southern Nevada. 40 million more visit every year. 90% of every drop of water used in that valley comes from one place, Lake Mead. The city has known this was a problem since before it became a city, so it built its survival in steps. In 1971, the first water pipe was drilled into Lake Mead. It was called Intake Number 1. Its opening sat at 1,050 feet above sea level. At the time, this seemed like a wild guess at danger that would never come. Lake Mead, in 1971, sat above 1,180 feet. Intake Number 1 had 130 feet of water above it. The idea that the lake could ever drop close to that pipe was the kind of thing engineers wrote into reports nobody planned to read. By 1993, the population had doubled, then doubled again. Intake Number 1 alone could not promise enough water. So a second pipe was built at 1,000 feet, 50 feet below the first. It was a backup, a safety net, a second pipe in case the first one ever came close to the lake's surface. By 2005, the math had changed. Lake Mead had been dropping since the early 2000s. The basin was sliding into what would later be proven as the worst long, dry stretch in at least 1,200 years. The woman running the Southern Nevada Water Authority at the time watched the numbers fall and signed off on something nobody else in the American West had ever tried: a third pipe, drilled not from the shore but from underneath the lake bed itself, through 3 miles of volcanic rock, to 860 feet, lower than Deadpool. Lower than any city water pipe ever built in the United States. Now zoom in. The work was done from Saddle Island, a rocky bump on the Nevada side of Lake Mead. A tunnel drilling machine 24 feet wide was lowered into a shaft and put to work grinding sideways through the rock. The crews who ran her called her Sandy. Sandy traveled 3 miles in the dark, under an active lake holding trillions of gallons of water right above her head. At the end of her run, crews drilled a shaft 300 feet straight up into the lake bed. They sealed it with a 17,200-pound steel ball, the plug that would later be pulled to let the lake in. The job took 7 years. It cost $1.4 billion. The rock was among the toughest tunnel ground in modern American history. The tunnel had to hold back a full 17 bar of water pressure from above. One stretch came within less than an inch of its target across 3 miles of drilling. The work has been compared to the Lincoln Tunnel under the Hudson, the Eisenhower Tunnel on Interstate 70 west of Denver, and Hoover Dam itself. The first Hoover Dam, if priced in today's money, would cost about $1.16 billion to build now. The third straw cost $1.4 billion